Good evening, this is Atmospheric Alex here with yet another severe weather outlook and discussion for March 8th, 2025. Today we're going to be talking about a potential tornado outbreak that could be occurring later this week across portions of the Midwest, and into the Mid-South and Southeast as well, associated with the potentially powerful bomb cyclone that could be the one behind all the action. And it's very easy to see why, especially since this low pressure system could bottom out at 975 millibars or lower. It is going to be an intense storm system, folks. So we're going to hop straight in it with our models here. This is our European model here, and we're going to take a look at this massive storm system here on the models. As you can see, moving into Friday, here is our main system. We're talking about ejecting off the Colorado Rockies here. 977 millibars on this model and tons of severe weather out ahead of it here. Look at that. That does in fact look pretty impressive. It's a nice line of storms. Looks a lot more linear rather than supercellular, but that will change. We are kind of far out from the system, but severe weather moving across a wide area and then dying out pretty quickly here. And then this major blizzard developing on the backside of this as well. And then quite a flooding event here for the Appalachian Mountains region. This is very uncertain right now, and even though there's a high risk of rainfall, I want to be a little bit cautious when I talk about that. But we're going to move in with our GFS model here, and what we're going to begin to notice is a couple of things. We're going to break down really some things here. This first system here that could develop, and believe it or not, that is going to be very important in just a minute. Look at this system though, 968 millibars. Jeez, that is not quite historic, but it is nearly historic. We saw a system like this, I think a few years ago, that was around this pressure as well. But yeah, this is no joke, and if we take a look at how long this takes to develop, or take a look at a 24-hour increment here, right when this starts, it is at 992 millibars here, and then as we continue on through timing here, going into Friday afternoon, 968. So with this said, this would classify it as a bomb cyclone on the GFS, something to very much consider here. And you can see this, open warm sector activity, bang, right there, really begins to pop off going into a Saturday morning. So timing is still kind of nebulous out there, but you could see clear-cut, defined line of strong to severe thunderstorms moving off to the east here in its fashion. Nice calm ahead look to it. And my goodness, lots of rain out of that. Lots of high winds along the mountains here, the Appalachians. We really got to watch that too. But just an overall massive system from the GFS. And we're going to take a look here at our CMC Canadian model. And it's going to look quite a bit different here. You can see our system ejecting, and bam, we've got tons of severe weather popping off on all cylinders there, and it just continues and really wraps up talking about a major blizzard here with several inches of snow, extremely high winds in those areas there of, say, North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, and even Iowa. Some of those areas were getting severe weather a few hours ago with this system. And then that moves on out. Quickly, one last model, the Icon here. We're going to look at this more in depth as well. Want you to note we have a little bit of a storm system ejecting kind of early into Thursday. A little bit of storm energy with it, and we really got to watch model trends because this could be a stealer of the show, if you will. And it depends on what light you look at. If you're into weather, it's a negative light. If you're not into weather, it's a positive light. Won't cause many disruptions, but man, 968 millibars going into Saturday night. Classic comma head shape here. You could bet your bottom dollar there will be tornadoes along that line in that specific environment. Quite a few. This would be a major outbreak potential with this model run, and this continues on through some severe weather down south as well. Now, what does your trough ejection look like? Here is your first splotch of energy, and you can see It's definitely a little noteworthy. We see a neutrally tilted trough here, so this is going to grab up quite a lot of storm energy before the main show arrives, and here we go. Here is the big one. Man, oh man, look at that tilt to the trough. We are talking about a classic negatively tilted trough here, a very negatively tilted trough, almost going horizontal at this point. You don't usually see many trough ejections like this, maybe once or twice a year on average. And this just blows on through the Midwest here, even curls through even further, and you get this wild horizontal look to the trough. Unreal stuff, let me tell you. Going to Saturday night, and this powerful jet streak out ahead of it, fueling all your severe weather. And why don't we just take a look at our surface temperatures quickly? It's a bit off topic, but it's going to be warming up fast. By Wednesday, 70s across the entirety of the Ohio Valley, southeast, and mid-south regions. And wow, just continues to warm up here going into Thursday. Friday, our main round of severe weather. Mid-80s pool weather down here across your deep southeast, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. My goodness, gonna be nice and toasty down there, kind of hot. Moving further north here, could get into the upper 70s. This is unreal. Across Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee. Could see 70s up to Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, South Dakota. What is happening? Yeah, this is a big push of spring air right here. And this continues, and you have some intense surface winds out of your southeast to east-southeast. We'll break that down here shortly. And you could see going into Saturday, look at those winds there out ahead of your system, screaming out of your south to southeast, downsloping over the mountains. I do foresee a potential for another high-end mountain wave windstorm event. If you are directly along the Appalachian Mountains, the Blue Ridge, Smoky Mountains, I'd recommend shifting this towards the front of your head here. This could be another very significant damaging windstorm that may actually be a lot more widespread and impact portions of the valley this go around, with your temperature inversion well off to the north of those areas. So you could really see your warming trend there on the models. Remember how I said there would be two storm systems? The first would steal energy. Here is your convective available potential energy on your European model. Going into Wednesday evening, a lot of storm energy, up to 1,500 joules per kilogram here, sitting out in, the Great Plains. This continues on through almost 2,000 now. Oh, wow, that's a lot of storm energy for the system that isn't even the main system, right? Look at this. I mean, this is definitely going to steal a lot of your potential. By the time we go into Friday, we're not really talking about much up here. It's suitable, but this will be more of a lower-end event, maybe a mid-end event, but areas that didn't get stolen further south, a lot more significant, 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram. This would undoubtedly be a strong tornado outbreak across those areas in Dixie Alley overnight as well. Really have to hope that doesn't occur. Just riding along the Gulf Coast going into Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, that is going to be something we need to watch closely. Your GFS model, same thing. Potentially a slightly more significant severe weather episode depending on a lot of different variables here, especially for your Ozark region there. And again, stealing your storm energy ahead of your main system, and it's okay. You got 1,500 joules going pretty far north. A lot of capping though, a lot of dry, warm air aloft, because at your surface, you have slightly cooler air as it's gotten sucked out. Further south, I will not stop banging my drum about this, in the Dixie Alley, could see a tornado outbreak. I wouldn't even doubt that in the slightest. Lots of storm energy going into Saturday afternoon. Got this thin, warm sector that will make things work. We saw strong tornadoes last week when this happened, so we very well will be seeing it again potentially on Saturday as that moves on through. And here's a look at your dew points here, working a bit backwards, but you can see dews in the upper 50s to low to mid 60s across a pretty large area here. And this kind of gets scooped up, shifted off to the east a bit. It tries to build back in, so maybe not as much of a limiting factor, but going into Friday afternoon, Very low dew points across these areas. Severe weather would be very hard to come by up here. Dixie Alley, though, broad warm sector, dews in the upper 60s to low 70s. That is your greatest tornado potential as of now. This could very easily change, though, as we go over the next few days into Saturday here. Same song and dance there. Now let's take a look at your supercell composite values here. Definitely very elevated here across Texas. This would be a notable severe weather event going into central and southern Texas here, going into Wednesday evening. This continues moving on through, and you definitely are going to see severe weather across the Gulf coastline. I'm pretty certain of that Wednesday or Thursday. And again, this sucks up a lot of energy, but because of how violent your low pressure system will be out here, how volatile it'll be, it really doesn't matter too much. A lot of your energy does get scooped north, and you could see some isolated yellow areas up here. That's pretty suitable. But Dixie Alley, man, into your oranges and reds. So potentially a more significant event pushing on through. Wow, that parameter space into Saturday, that really gets your eyes going, doesn't it? Could definitely be talking about a higher end scenario if things play out perfectly. If they don't, well, forget what I just said. Well, look at Sunday as well. Again, too far out, not a forecast. We'll have to wait on that. Now, I want to take a look at what your winds are doing at the surface compared to what they're doing aloft, and we're going to take a look here in the Midwest sector here, because we need a better understanding of this, right? Let's go ahead and draw some arrows. So at the surface here, and I'm going to draw from bottom to top, and look, your winds here are coming out of your due southeast at the surface, as you can see, and as we go up with height, and what we begin to notice here is that your winds begin to shift a bit. So we're going to take a look here at your 925 level. Roughly the same, a little more south-southeasterly, if you will. Continuing up in height here into your 850 millibar level, still low levels. Same exact thing. So your lower levels are going to be basically all out of the southeast, and you're probably thinking, Alex, there's no veering. This is fantastic news. There will be no tornadoes across the Midwest in a setup like this. I think you would be wrong. As we switch to our 700 millibar level, what happened here? Look at that. Winds looking over here coming out of your southwest. Holy veering. Look at that. We just went from your southeast, southeast, southeast to southwest, a very sharp curve here. And again, this is going to continue, and your 850 millibar levels still out of your southwest, so roughly still the same. And as we go into your 250 millibar levels out of your south, or west-southwest, I should say. That is a ton of veering, and also, look at all your divergence ahead of this here. You got flow going this way, and flow going this way, and man, going all different directions, right? And again, if you weren't here for a previous episode, what divergence is the displacement of air aloft. So your atmosphere basically gets ripped apart, your air gets ripped apart aloft, and in order to fill it back in, you need to have air at the surface flowing like this. It is very complicated to understand, but I'm trying to water it down for you all so you can understand Meteorology 101 for your own uses. Now, how about your ensemble model? This is your GEFS, and bam, this is as textbook as it gets if you want severe weather in the Midwest in the month of March. There is nothing else to be said here. Almost a perfectly horizontal trough ejection here. That is just completely bonkers here, right? And it's absurd. Look at your right exit region here. Very well defined. That is going to cause a lot of issues, as you're going to have a lot of storm energy streaming north ahead of this if it verifies. And going into Saturday, same exact thing, a lot weaker, but it's still having that flow aloft, and that is what you need to get severe weather going. Now, for your mean supercell composite from your GEFS, it helps you kind of understand your target area a lot better. Here you go. In your yellow areas is your higher chance for severe weather. This is a more likely scenario here, going up into southern Illinois, eastern Missouri, western Kentucky, western Tennessee, eastern Arkansas, central Arkansas, going into much of Mississippi, all of Louisiana, and eastern Texas. That is a very prime area, I believe, for severe weather going to Friday. Look at your orange contours. Dixie Alley, especially the nocturnal tornado risk, is something to watch. Strong tornadoes are definitely possible going into Friday night into Saturday morning and continuing into Saturday afternoon. Wow, definitely quite an intense, strong signature here showing up on your ensemble. And then your maximum, don't take this completely seriously, but it just helps you read it out better. You can see your daytime threat will be in your Midwest, your Ohio Valley, and your Mid-South regions here on Friday afternoon. And then Friday night, boop, all shifts really far down south here into Dixie Alley. So nocturnal tornadoes are definitely going to pose a risk here, a big issue, if you will. And I'm honestly surprised the Storm Prediction Center hasn't outlined a 15% area down here yet. I'm sure they will by tomorrow, though, after all of the upgraded confidence we've seen today. And with that being said, thank you so much for tuning into today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please smash that like button, subscribe to my little corner of the weather community down below, and share this with your friends and family or on social media. Also, besides that, please leave a comment in the section below letting me know how well I've done on this video and future suggestions you have for me later on down the road. And with that said, I hope you all have a wonderful night, everyone. Stay weather aware and monitor the severe weather and especially your winter weather out here. And don't forget your mountain wave risk for my East Tennessee folks down here. It could be a frenzy of wind going into Saturday, so please stay tuned for that.